It's the Balance Doctor. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Be sure to subscribe to The Kim Jacobs Show right on YouTube. Turn on your notification bell to all so you never miss a beat. And guess what? Every time you watch, you're going to receive a real relevant and relatable guest that's going to share with you a piece of the puzzle on this journey called life that will help you be able to manage just a little bit smoother. At the end of the day, the Kim Jacobs Show goal is to be able to provide balance to the world, one household at a time.
Kim Jacobs Show. You're watching Kim Jacobs Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. I hope that you all have had a wonderful weekend. How are you, Stephen Anthony King?
I am doing fantastic, Kim. Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you on today.
Yes.
And it's really good to see you.
And it is really good to see you as well.
I love that book title. It's really good to see you. Listen, everybody, grab your virtual seats. We're going to be talking today with Stephen Anthony King. I'll formally introduce him when we come back from this commercial break. But make sure you all take a moment to let us know where you're visiting in from. Let us know your name, your city. Some people have been coming in from the Philippines, Greece, all over the place. So wherever you're visiting in from, please make sure you type it in the comments section and allow us the opportunity to just acknowledge you today. So we're going to have a great episode here. And Stephen, you're going to be taking us back on your journey and where it all began for you. I see some people that are some pride and joys in your life, but we'll get a chance to learn more about you on this episode. Where do you live? Where do you live, Stephen?
Well, I'm born and raised in Harlem, USA. And Harlem made me who I am.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yes. And I currently reside in New Jersey.
Interesting. Okay. So we've met each other virtually anyway.
Yes.
Through Les Brown's platform.
Correct.
And I've enjoyed getting to know you from that perspective, but I cannot wait to learn more about your backstory here on the Kim Jacobs Show. So everybody grab your seats. We'll be right back right after this commercial break.
I'm attorney Kenneth D. Snow, and at the Snow Legal Group, justice is our job.
For more than 20 years, Attorney Snow has been fighting for justice and winning cases in the Carolinas by providing aggressive representation in criminal defense, domestic violence, family law, serious injury, and wrongful death. If you've been injured or lost a loved one in an accident, including tractor trailer or rideshare, you need the Snow Legal Group by your side, fighting for justice and fighting for you. Visit snowlegal.com. Call 704-358-0026 for a free virtual consultation. Located at 6827 Fairview Road, Suite D in South Park.
All right, everyone. And we're back with Stephen Anthony King today. Stephen, take us back and tell us some stuff about your life. Who are you? Where did you come from? Tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you, first of all, Kim, for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. And blessings, peace and blessings to all your viewers on Facebook and wherever else you're tuning in. Peace and blessings to you all. I am Stephen Anthony King, born and raised in Harlem, as I said, and part of my uniqueness is the fact that I was born severely nearsighted. I had my first eye surgery when I was just 7 years old. I had 3 more by the time I was 16. Shortly after college, I lost sight in my right eye. And if you fast forward to 2016, I had a total of 10 eye operations and only had the sight in one eye. Now, wow. I'll pause right there and go back. I just wanted to kind of give you, because that part was so important because it shaped my life as a youngster and growing up, and it kind of catapulted me into my spirituality, if you will. You know, growing up, I was teased. I was the guy who wore the thick glasses, and I didn't like myself at a very young age. So I started escaping, you know, from reality. And what I like to call my first drug of choice was fantasy. I grew up in the era of G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Little G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. And although I lived in a tenement building on 144th Street in Harlem, when I was with my GI Joe, I was off in Africa saving the world somewhere.
So you're in your own imagine, like, so Jurassic Park and all these different movies, they think they're creating adventures. You create adventures way back when.
Exactly, exactly. And it was kind of the gift and the curse. It was a coping mechanism that I used to get me through, the teasing and things, but it also became a crutch for me not to deal with reality. And as I got a bit older into my teens, that GI Joe kind of graduated into drugs. So drugs became my escape. And I was an introvert. I didn't really talk to kids, to girls. But when I would use drugs, I became what I like to call buddy love. Remember the Nutty Professor? Professor Clump was this nerd, shy guy, afraid
And
to
then
talk.
you're like, hey, I'm
Buddy
here.
love with that one piece,
So that was like your alter ego.
That was my alter ego.
Interesting.
Yes.
So you were this shy guy, had been through so many surgeries, really introverted, not comfortable getting out of your comfort zone because of some things that were kind of happening to you well beyond your control.
Correct.
But then you kicked into this alter ego whenever some other drugs of choice came into your life, right?
That's correct. That's correct. And
Okay.
I fell in love with drugs, cocaine to be exact. And I used through college. I played college basketball, and I used drugs through college. And then when I came out, my addiction really kind of took off. And it brings about emotion when I think about it from a gratitude standpoint, because it's only through God's grace, Kim, that I am still here. I mean, my addiction took me to having paranoid delusions, to the point where I was holding my son in my arms and contemplating jumping out of the window because I thought they were coming to get me. And again, nothing but God's grace. He had a plan for me. He wanted me to be here speaking with you and sharing my testimony, my trials to triumphs with you today. But, drugs, on the other hand, my wife often asks me, if you had to do it over again, do you regret using drugs? And I say, of course, for the harm that I've caused myself and to my loved ones. But at the same time, the drugs introduced me to my higher power.
Interesting.
So I hit a bottom, a point of desperation where there was no ducking, there was no dodging, there was no more rationalizations, no more justifications. I had to face the fact that I had a problem and I needed to do something about it. And I went into a 12-step program. And it was through that 12-step program that I got introduced to myself and to God. And, a lot of people think 12-step programs are drug programs.
Right.
And it's so much more than that. Drugs was simply a symptom of the real problem, which was me. And that's why I talked about fantasy and G.I. Joe in the beginning. I didn't like to deal with reality. So I needed to escape.
Wow.
And as I said, as I got older, I graduated from one fantasy to the next. It's just that, G.I. Joe, there were no real kind of consequences.
Yeah, there are no limitations. You could just go all in and just
all in.
I don't know if you've ever watched that show Fantasy Island before back in the day.
Absolutely.
But that kind of reminds me of that too. It's like you have entered Fantasy Island.
Exactly.
And all of this stuff can happen on Fantasy Island.
Exactly.
And you're like this. And so that's kind of what you went on your own adventure. Wow.
Exactly. But there are horrors of addiction.
Of course.
And as I mentioned, it brought me to my knees where I had to get help or I knew I was going to die. And at this point, I was raising my oldest child, which is my son, pretty much by myself. I was a single father, but thank God for my mother, his grandmother, because she definitely stepped in. But I'll tell you, my son, throughout that all, as I reflect, my son was my guardian angel. Because no matter how high I got, I knew that at a certain time I had to go home to get him prepared to go to school. And I can guarantee you that if it weren't for my son, who knows where I would have been. And again, only God's grace.
And so you said you became a single father. What transpired that got you to that phase? Was it stuff dealing with the drugs, or what got you to becoming a single father versus the mom possibly being the person that would have him?
Well, absolutely. And that's a great question. And thank you for that. It was the drugs. Bottom line, she couldn't put up with it anymore. She just couldn't put up with the drug use anymore, because when she was there, I wasn't coming home. You
Mm.
see, so I would stay out for nights at a time, lose the money, come up with all these cockamamie excuses.
Mm.
Typical thing. I'm sure there are many people who can identify with that story, either
Absolutely.
personally or family members. And drugs turn you into a person that you really just don't want to be.
Wow. Everybody that's watching today, go ahead and share this broadcast with everyone, because all of us have family members, friends, people that we can personally put a name to that may have situations similar to what Stephen Anthony King is sharing with us here today on the Kim Jacobs Show. So don't deprive people of the opportunity to hear this significant testimony. Now, one thing, Stephen, and that I always do before I go live on any episode of the Kim Jacobs Show, but because I got a call right when we get ready to go live, right? And I didn't say my prayer. So I don't even go live on this platform behind stage without doing that. So everyone gets to hear this prayer right now. Okay. Because I can't do the show without doing that. So,
Absolutely.
Heavenly Father, Lord, I pray in Jesus' name. You can pray in whomever name you do. Lord, I just ask right now that you just bless everything that we endeavor to do, Lord. Thank you so much for trusting us with the gifts and the talents that you've given us. And Lord, we want to use those to glorify you. Lord, please let lives be changed and even souls be saved through the information that'll be shared today. I pray in Jesus' name. You can pray in whomever name you do. Thank you. Amen. Okay.
Amen. Ashe. Yes.
Amen. I say on Anthony King's behalf. You know what? I just want to make sure that before we ever click live on this platform, that any of you all, no matter whose name you pray in, that we get the opportunity to do that backstage. And I deprived you of that opportunity today. So I wanted to make sure I correct that.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, Stephen, also, I want to make sure too that people hear a formal introduction of you, because your story is incredibly powerful. So, what I want to do is tell you all who this wonderful young man is. He is an author of Amazon's #1 best-selling book. It's really good to see you. Stephen holds a current position as the vice president of sales for a major credit card processing company. His corporate background in sales training, and executive sales management spans for over 3 decades. He doesn't just teach people the art of selling, he teaches something else, which we're going to talk about that. So I'm not going to tell you that in his bio. But he's a devoted husband, a proud father of 3, and a grandfather of 1. I am so excited that Stephen's divine calling is to educate, motivate, and to inspire others by sharing his many life experiences and the process that he's used to grow through all of them. So thank you so much, Stephen Anthony King, for being here today.
Thank you for that, Kim. I appreciate you. I really
All right, so listen, everybody, right after this commercial break, we're going to hear more from Stephen Anthony King. And before we transition from the topic of drugs, I would like for you to share some tips on how people can get through some of those trying times in their lives. So, any advice that you have, either for family members that's dealing with a loved one that's struggling with drugs, and any advice that you have for those that may be struggling with drugs themselves and they feel like they're at their wits' end and don't know what to do.
Well, thank you for that opportunity, and that's an awesome resource that you are lending to your audience. Yes, please. First of all, don't suffer in silence. Whether you are the individual who is using drugs and you cannot do it alone. Trust me, I know. I've tried. Every time I got into the ring with those drugs, I lost. I got knocked out just like it was Mike Tyson pummeling me. Secondly, if you're a family member, there are hotlines that you can call. If it's drugs or if it's alcohol, there's the NA hotline. You can Google that. There's the Alcoholics Anonymous hotline that you can Google that. And there are people who are manning the phones 24 hours a day to field your questions, to show care and concern for you. It's not like you're calling customer service over in the Philippines or in India, for some technical support. These people, most of them are recovering from addiction themselves. So they can understand and exercise empathy, which is so important and so vital in these types of situations.
That's so good.
If you can just Google.
I'm putting it up right now. I'm putting this up here.
Yes. And if you have, I'll go out on a limb, and you can have folks reach out to me through DM on Instagram, because there's a saying in my 12-step program that you cannot keep it unless you give it away. So the way that I'm able to stay in this state, in my natural state, in my God-given state that I was created, was to help others. That's
absolutely
it. Yes.
And this is actually the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration through the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. They have this 800 number, which is 800-662-HELP. 800-662-HELP, which is 4357. HELP is 4357. 1-800-662-4357. Call anonymously and get the help that you need. Absolutely. So don't go at it alone. Don't suffer in silence is what Stephen is actually sharing. And what else did you say?
Well, there is help for you. There is help for you. And you have to break the illusion that you can control it. There's no such thing as a functioning addict, because the disease is progressive, incurable, and fatal. Because I'll share with you, I was the guy who wore a suit and tie every day going to work. And in Harlem, I would walk past, the crackheads, if you will, who were on the stoops saying, I'm not like them.
Wow.
But it was only a matter of time before I still had on my suit, but I was going to the grocery store to beg for tokens to get on the train because I had no more money. And then it progressed to not even going to work because work was getting in the way of me using.
Wow.
So that's the thinking. So no matter where you are right now in your stage of using alcohol or drugs, it's going to progress. It may be slow, it may be rapid, but it is steady. And it is a certainty that it will progress. So please take heed. Good. If you hear nothing else today, hear that.
It will progress.
Yes.
Even if it's slow and steady, is what you're saying.
Even if it's slow, even if you have all the trappings, and having things, material things, keeps you. It's really the devil in disguise, because it keeps you in a state of denial, because you are comparing, your condition based on what you have outside, not understanding that the inside is rotting. Your spirit is rotting. But as long as you can say, I still have a good job, I still have a car, I still have my house. But eventually, I know so many people, all those things can fit into a pipe. All those things can fit into a whiskey glass. All those things will go if you don't address your issue.
That is crazy. What you're saying is so profound. I'm tagging a few people that I know, some different men and stuff that I know would be interested in knowing about this, because this is something that all congregations need to hear, this information that you're sharing.
Yes.
Because people that are men relate to men differently than women can relate to men. We don't know how to really relate to the point where a person understands it. So what you're saying is that it's going to progress no matter how you slice it. Even if it's slow, it's still going to happen. And don't be tricked out by what you're wearing or what the outer exterior looks like or what material possessions you have, because you still have the problem, is what you're saying.
That's absolutely correct. And two things I want to mention, just to share the hope. I stand before you today with 24 and a half years clean.
We
Not-
celebrate you all. Y'all put some love in the comments over there. Some
Kim,
hearts.
not
Some
as much as
congratulations.
the bottles in James' wine cooler. Nothing.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
24 years clean.
Yes.
Put that over here. 24 years
Yes.
clean
Yes.
to date. That is a major accomplishment.
Thank you.
Wow, Stephen. I like to put your whole name, Stephen
Yes.
Anthony King.
Yes.
I know people probably type that all the time. Stephen Anthony King. Don't leave the Anthony out.
That's right. That's right. And it's only through God's grace. So I give him all the glory.
Awesome.
Yes. And the second thing is that, there's no way to fix an inside problem with an outside solution. So back to those things that we have.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be drugs.
Right.
People gamble. People have sex addictions. People have eating addictions. They're trying to fix an inside problem with an outside solution, and that will never work.
You cannot fix an inside problem
with an outside solution.
Wow. Okay, keep talking about that a little bit more because I want the audience to hear more about that.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a story within those 24 years.
There are a lot of stories within the 24 years, right?
And one of them is prison. I went to prison with clean time.
I did not know any of this, Stephen. Yes. How are we working backstage on stuff? And I did not know now.
Well, I wanted to surprise you. I thought it would be more natural if your reaction was authentic in front of
I can't help but to be authentic because I didn't know. Okay, y'all. So when I say I don't always know, let me take my glasses off. You got me all over here, toe down a little bit. Let me. Okay, listen. You don't get what I'm saying in the studio audience. I have been virtually backstage working with this gentleman in different regards, and we've crossed paths from Les Brown's platform. I had no idea of the story that he's sharing with you all today at all. So I am like, wait, what? And you knew I would be like that. I'm gonna get you back, Steven. Wait till I come on one of your platforms and tell you some of my story. You're gonna be like, wait, what? I'm gonna get you back. All right, but so in between, for those that are just joining, we're talking with Stephen Anthony King, corporate businessman, dressed, you can see in his background, very professional gentleman that's been doing great with sales for over 3 decades. Growing up, he's had about 10 eye surgeries. You'll go back and look at the beginning of the video if you have missed out. But 10 surgeries, very introverted. And then he carried on this alter ego that kind of pushed him out there in certain regards. And I'll tell you how that alter ego worked in his favor and who he landed as his soulmate here shortly. I'll show you a beautiful picture of her. So I think that alter ego kicked in and worked on his behalf, okay? But he has gone through so many different trials and tribulations, ended up being a single father, and his son was one of his saving graces because he knew he had to come home after dealing with drugs, alcohol, and different things, that he had to come home to get his son prepared for school the next day. So thank God for his son, thank God for his mom. And today he's continuing to tell his story here on the Kim Jacobs Show. Now, I find out he was in prison. So carry on. Let me take a commercial break messing with you, Steve. Don't say another thing till I come back from commercial break. Oh my gosh, you done got me over here toe down. Let's see. But your story is nothing short of amazing. So let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back talking with Stephen Anthony King, author of Amazon #1 bestseller. It's really good to see you. All right. We'll be right back. Wow.
It's not just another day. It's a brand new day, full of all the fun, love, and laughter you and your family create. Silver Shield Security understands feeling at home means feeling safe and happy. No credit checks, no contracts. We offer payment arrangements, and we'll even give you a free door camera. Find out how we can brighten your day even more at silvershield-security.com. Silver Shield Security.
All right, everyone. We are back talking with Stephen Anthony King, and I'm finding out right now with you guys that he spent some time in his 24 years of sobriety in prison. Talk to us.
Well, as I mentioned, trying to fix an inside problem with an outside solution. Just because I entered into that 12-step program, it didn't mean that I miraculously just got rid of all of the garbage that was in me. Denial can take on a false sense of security. I think is a better term. Because I stopped using drugs, because I put down the drugs, I thought that everything was okay. And I didn't do the work. 12-step program requires work, actual written work, finding out about yourself, uncovering all that stuff that you did that causes, or bringing it to the surface, all that stuff that causes the guilt and the shame that you don't want to deal with, that causes you to escape to that fantasy land so you don't have to deal with the things you've done. And because I put down the drugs, life got better. I kept money in my pocket. I acquired some more things. I thought I was okay. But I was engaging in activity that was not spiritual and was not legal. And I won't go into what it was.
Yeah, don't worry about it, because I don't know what the statute of limitations are. Don't do too much revealing. It's a whole public document.
Two things I want to clear up. It wasn't rape and it wasn't murder. So
just go on. Keep on going to the next piece of it.
Yeah, it was all about money, property, and prestige. Chasing the money. Chasing money and acquiring it gave me a new high. So I just switched seats on the Titanic, if you will.
Wow.
I substituted one addiction for another. I became addicted to money. And it caused me, just like the drugs did, to compromise my morals and my values that I grew up with, because I had a good mother and she instilled morals and values in me. But when you are caught up in the grips of addiction and you got to get it not now, but right now, everything goes out the window. And it caused me, and this was early on in my recovery that I was engaging in this activity. And as I started to get into the work, the written work, which is incorporated in the 12 steps, my conscious and my spirit started to awaken. And I started to say, it was a contradiction of how I was living and how I wanted to live.
Interesting.
And I was around people who were honest, because you make meetings. And these are people who are going through life practicing honesty. And I wasn't. And sooner or later, it caught up with me. And I was like, wow, this is, but it had become my lifestyle. It was my business. I had an office in Midtown Manhattan. I had employees. I had bank accounts in 4 banks. So
this honest piece is what you're saying?
This activity, it was white collar crime, and it was through a business that I was the owner of. And
well, you just saying that so regular. Wait. You can't just say and keep going. You gotta take a break and hear from the studio audience. Listen, everybody, I know y'all got something to say. If y'all don't have nothing to say, I'm gonna be like, y'all just not engaged over here. So tell me what thoughts, questions, comments. Take a moment before you say and. Okay, we're gonna pause. We're gonna pick back up there. Let's see what these people saying over here. What in the world? What's any thoughts on what's happening, y'all? Okay, somebody's just showing you some love. They're like being nice. They're like, Lord have mercy. Powerful. Hakima said, powerful testimony. This is very Bishop Amir May says, great morning. We must connect, brother. He's talking about connecting with you. He's a new bishop in Dubai. And he's here in Charlotte, but he's been assigned to be bishop in Dubai. So I'm sure y'all two would love to connect with each other. And I'll make sure that happens. Let's see. Absolutely. Lots of other comments. Y'all have any questions, comments? Wow, a powerful testimony, Rose Slade says. What a amen. Okay, keep your comments coming in. And what I'll do is I'll just keep going back over here and referencing you all. So let's see, Stephen. And And there's more. And
So it again, the addiction, just a substitute for it, but the conflict was getting too much for me. And I was at a point where, what do? I don't want to engage in this activity anymore. But at this time now, I have another little daughter. I'm in a relationship. So there are 4 kids in total. I'm in this relationship. The kids are in private school. This is how I earn my living. So to just walk away from it, I'll have nothing.
wow, so you were torn because now at this point it's like I want to do the right thing. I have a conscience. I'm trying to figure out how to disconnect from what I know is wrong, but I'm so intertwined in it and my livelihood is intertwined in it that now I don't know what to do to break free from it. That's what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
And here comes God.
Okay, God, come on through, God.
And I want to kind of emphasize, and we'll get into it a little later, the title, It's Really Good to See You, because it takes on so many different meanings. I want your audience and you, Kim, to hold on to that, and I'll come back to this moment and why I said that.
Oh, we're going to go deeper into that moment because I know that now that I've heard your story, I know exactly what you mean. I can't wait for you to reveal it. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. So God has a way of doing things for you that you can't do for yourself.
Yes.
And they show up, and you can't always see the picture when you're in the frame.
That's right.
So it may look as though it's a disaster, but once you get through and you reflect, you can see God was all up in the mix all the time. So what happened was the Attorney General of New York State subpoenaed my bank records because clients started to complain. And, there's something about the Attorney General subpoenaing your bank records that will restore you to sanity.
It's like, what? You back to regular now. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Everybody go home. All y'all quit today.
It's time. Straighten up, fly right, pull out in the shade, turn it from open to close. You know what I'm saying? So
That's what I say. People have selective mental. Sometimes I don't. Let me not do that. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
So I was forced to shut down just like that. There was no thinking about it. There was no how am I going to transition. It was just shut it down. Bottom line. Left that, cleaned up my act, got a legitimate job, working in sales, became an executive, making high 6 figures, and life was going great.
Okay.
Now we're 4 years removed from this activity.
4 years removed from when you got the records pulled.
Correct.
And you shut everything down. Like everybody go home.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm now engaged in full recovery from the inside standpoint. I'm working on myself. I'm doing step work. I'm mentoring in Harlem at-risk youth. I'm married at this point. Life is great.
And this is where we're gonna take a commercial break. Y'all know how a whole show work, and you will hear exactly what happened right after this commercial break. Wow. And if y'all are eager to hear it, put a 1 in the comments. We'll be back.
When someone has lost a loved one, they want to know what exactly happened. They want to know, is the other person going to be held responsible? And they want closure. At Hunter & Everett, we help clients that have lost a loved one move on, and to do that with dignity and respect that they deserve.
All right. And so 4 years in, we're talking again with Stephen Anthony King. He has taken us on a roller coaster ride, y'all, telling us about his background, his journey, and going through drugs, alcohol, reforming 4 years later into doing the right thing. He's now in corporate sales, married, got a child, another child, and now what happens?
And I'm taking my wife to work. I'm driving her to the subway, one morning on First Avenue, and 4 detectives surround me, badges, guns drawn, right in the middle of the street. My wife is like this in the middle of the street, and they arrest me. Now, again, I'm 4 years removed, so I have absolutely no idea what this is about.
Mm.
And they're not telling me. And I'm starting to get paranoid as I'm in the back of this squad car and they're taking me downtown to central booking. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm starting to really kind of get paranoid. Did I do something to somebody? Are they kidnapping me? Like, what's going on? And then they mentioned this one name, the name of this company. And I immediately said, I know what's going on. Because there were individuals that I was involved with that once I left, they kept on engaging.
So they didn't go home.
No, they didn't go home.
Come on.
And they got caught and they said, come on out, Steve. They got us. Basically, they snitched. And you know, but listen, here's at first I was extremely upset. I had serious resentments, all types of things were going through my mind. But the reality is there's nothing to tell on if there's nothing to tell on.
That's the point, right? It's like I'm a big believer. Listen, if it can't be put on the front page of a newspaper, then pretty much let's not do it, right? Because it can be a whole problem later. And the truth always comes out, no matter
Absolutely.
how you slice it. Even when the truth doesn't come out, even at times when we're on this earth, at the end of the day, we're still held accountable for whatever we've done on this earth. Absolutely. I believe that, you know?
And what's that old saying? If it doesn't come out in the wash, it comes out in the rinse.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and again, God is all in the mix.
Wow.
So fast forward, I go to trial. I'm upstate New York, and I'm like, wow, I'm here.
And knowing you had already got yourself free from this situation, doing the right thing, 4 years with you, moving on with your life, and taking your wife to work wherever you're going, got your child, you rocking and rolling. And now this happens. Okay, so now you're in trial. What happens?
Well, trial goes the way it goes. I get sentenced, and I'm upstate. I'm in jail for the first time. But again, looking back, God was all in the mix. And by this time, I have a heightened level of spirituality, and I have a conscious contact with God. So I'm praying, I'm meditating, and he's just guiding me. And being in prison was one of, again, the best things that could have happened to me. You know, God has a way of humbling me in my most arrogant areas.
Interesting. So you actually know that you were arrogant.
When it came to money and property and prestige, it was, my identity was built around that.
Interesting. Because I don't usually hear people, at least not that I know, but people that really would admit and say, I am just an arrogant something. And I needed to be humbled. I don't know too many people at all that would volunteer to be like, humble me, Lord, no, that's not what I know.
Correct. And as I reflect, you know, like you, I'm an inspirational, motivational speaker. I love public speaking. I love to be in the public spotlight, but I was misusing my God-given talent.
Wow.
The ill-gotten gain. And God said, I need to sit you down. I need to get your attention because you are wasting the gift that I've given to you. So I'm going to sit you down. I'm still going to shower you with grace. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to give you a mission while you are here.
Interesting.
And Kim, while I was there, I was mentoring the young kids and tutoring them, the ones who were going for their GEDs. You know, I just take a hard left for a second and I'll come right back. Fatherlessness is one of the biggest crimes in this country, especially in the Black and brown communities.
Wow. Fatherlessness
Fatherlessness.
is
A
one.
household without a father is a headless household. And that is no slight to the women who we honor, who are taking on double duty. They're taking on the responsibility as the matriarch, and then they have to also take on the responsibility as the patriarch. And God didn't intend it to be that.
That is horrible,
There's a
in my
balance.
opinion.
Yes, there's a
But it's
balance.
by force in many situations. I can never speak from any other perspective, but I can
Mhm.
definitely speak personally that there
Yes.
is no way on earth and in heaven that I would ever want to not have my husband be with me raising our children.
Yes.
Under no circumstances, ever.
Yes.
Ever. But
100%.
whenever women experience situations where by force you don't have a choice but to deal with becoming that type of parent, then it's unfortunate. And so, what do you say to men out there that's like, maybe they haven't come to the realization that you have in life?
Well,
And God forbid, try to actually end up blaming the woman in some regard. It's like the devil is a whole liar.
yeah.
No woman that I know that is married to a husband and have children, God forbid, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 kids want to be by themselves raising their children in any circumstances.
Absolutely. What I'll say is, first of all, men, we need you. I'm not going to pass judgment because we don't know what they have gone through. We don't know what circumstances, what curse has been passed down to them. You know, crack cocaine
Good.
when it came into our communities in the 80s, it wiped out not just that generation, it wiped out 2, 3 generations beyond that. Because, you know, the men were on crack, the women were pregnant, there's no man in the household, these kids are raising themselves, and everybody's just doing the best they can with what they have.
Beautiful. That's great. See, that's why it takes a man to reach out to a man, because the women, we like, oh, no. You know, they like, calm down, women. No, this is not what men need to hear. They need to hear what Stephen Anthony King is saying. Men, we need you.
We
Men,
love you,
we
and
love you. We appreciate you. We value you.
yes.
You're the king of the household, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I know a lot of women that do that already and know how to do all of the stroking of the ego and everything. But I think it's stuff that be inside of the person that, like you said, maybe it's some generational curse. I don't know.
It's a lot of stuff because, you know, and again, I'm sorry we went down this rabbit hole. I'll get back to the story of prison in a second. But I grew up, my father was an alcoholic. He died when I was 4. My stepfather was an alcoholic. And so that's all I saw. That's all I saw. So it's not, you know, it's not hard to kind of understand why I ended up the way I did.
Interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. Rose Slay said, yes, our children need both parents. It's necessary. And
Yes.
again, I can speak personally. I know in our situation, Frank is an excellent parent. And so I can definitely say that for sure. He's a great father to our children. Okay, go ahead.
And and to the women, excuse me, to the women, please, I understand your struggle. I understand your burden. But I beg of you to let go of the resentment.
That's right.
Pray for these men.
So important.
A man, not just a man, a human being in their natural state, which has not been contaminated, would be there. So there is something going on spiritually or mentally that is preventing them from stepping up and taking their rightful place. And we need prayer more than we need judgment and anger.
Men need.
And it's not to excuse anybody, but all I'm saying is the judgment and anger is not going to change things. We know that prayer works. We
Prayer
know
is the only thing that works.
yes, at times. And we know that understanding people and sometimes forgiveness to all the women out there who feel hurt and abandoned. Forgiveness doesn't let him off the hook. It lets you off the hook.
Right. Preach, brother. Stephen, you know what? You need to be doing a show preaching to these men and the women, because the women be like, just like that right there. Because that's some good advice that you're sharing. Yes. I beg of you, this is a quote from Stephen Anthony King. I beg of you to let go of resentment and pray for these men. Men need prayer more than judgment or anger. That is just beautifully stated. I've heard a lot of people speak Stephen Anthony, and I don't think I've ever heard of it from that perspective, just like that, just in those exact words. You heard it from Stephen Anthony King right here on the Kim Jacobs Show. Go ahead.
Well, you know why that happened, right? Because you invited God in, and I'm just holding the microphone for God. Those are
well, people said yes. Tina King said yes. Rose Slade said yes. And yes, parents, we need yes. Great comments. Y'all keep your comments coming in. And I saw my friend. Did I see my bestie, Sean A. Hall? Sean A. Hall is on here somewhere. I saw her. She said, oh my. Sean Hall always showing up. And you know what that means. That's just an inside joke. All right. All right, Stephen. So take us back to the prison transition.
So many youngsters in prison. And again, I'm in prison now. I'm in my 40s. So I'm not young. And I have a level of spirituality. I have a conscious contact with a higher power. And every day there was this one oak tree, this one tree that in the dead of winter, because upstate New York gets cold in the winter and there's snow everywhere. And there was this one tree that still had leaves on it. I kid you not. And I called it the tree of life. And every morning after breakfast, or they call it chow in prison, right? I would go out to the yard. I would sit on a bench with a cup of coffee, and that tree was my focal point for me to meditate to and talk to. It was literally God. That was my God. I was seeing God and speaking to God through this tree. And it was metaphorically the hope that in the dead of winter, life is still here. Because the tree was still green with leaves. And I started saying, God, not kind of like, why do you have me here? But in a, I don't even know what kind of state, but God, I'm here. What will you have me do?
Yes.
Here. And I started tutoring the young kids, the young men, I should say, who were going for their GED.
Okay.
I became a father figure. They would gravitate towards me because I would pour into them. And to a point, Kim, it was, in jail, it's not recommended that you talk in a hostile manner to people because that can end up very, very bad.
Right. Especially in prison, of course.
Exactly. And it was a point where, if I heard these young men talking a certain way about themselves, I wouldn't say that I chastised them, but I would speak to them extremely passionately, but they could feel that it was coming from a loving space and they would allow me to do it. They didn't feel humiliated. They didn't feel talked down to. And I'm talking about, I would walk through the yard and like, the head of the Bloods, the big homie, would be way across the yard and scream out my name to say hello to me. And like, I don't know who he is because I'm not looking for stuff like that.
Right.
Young man who needs to be poured into. And we would sit in the yard and have conversations. And I would talk to him about how he was a businessman. It was just the product that he was selling, which was always going to get him in trouble. I said, listen, you're selling drugs on the street. It's a business. You have inventory, you have employees, you have supply and demand.
That's right.
You have payroll. All you had, so you have what it takes to run a business. You
That's right.
The right product that won't land you here. And you could see they were zoned in and you could see the light bulbs coming on. And God had me doing that. I did some of my first public speaking in prison.
God knew that you were going to be, he was using that to shape and mold you
Correct.
into, like how Les Brown often says, we're like the aliens and
Yes.
we're marching to a different beat.
Yes.
God already knew that you were marching to a different beat, and he needed to be able to use you to get his message out to the people there, but also to the people in the rest of the world. So today you're here. You're here on the Kim Jacobs Show. You have a book called "It's Really Nice to See You,"
It's
and I
really
want you to
good to
tell
see
everybody. I want to hear when we come back from this commercial break how that title came to your mind and what it means. Anybody else interested in knowing that? Put yes. Tell us immediately in the comments. Let's see. Jolisa says Stephen definitely needs his own show. That was deep. Let go of resentment and pray for these men. Pray for these men. Yes. Yes. Okay. I see all of your comments coming in as well. Listen, when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to hear what the title of the book, It's Really Nice to See You, is all about. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
I'm attorney Charles Everidge. I started out representing insurance companies until my father was seriously injured at work. 4 of his fingers were amputated. Our family went through a lot, so I know what you're going through as an injured worker. If you've been hurt on the job, call me now. I'll fight to get the workers' comp benefits you may deserve. I'll fight for you like family. Put my experience to work for you. Call 704-457-5000, the first call for injured workers.
All right, everyone, we're back talking with Stephen Anthony King, and he has shared so much of his life's trials and tribulations, but he's now a #1 best-selling author, and we're going to talk about that now. So tell us about the book. It's Really Nice to See You.
Yes. It's really good to see you.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good to see you. It's really
okay.
good.
I'll take it either way.
But it's nice that you're here on the show, and it's really good to see you is the name of the book.
Right.
And I actually have a copy of the book right here, and I'm going to pop that up so you all will know exactly what you're looking for on Amazon. The image is not that clear on that one. I like the one back there on the back, but it's really good to see you.
Yes.
So go ahead, tell us about your book and what made you come up with that particular title.
Absolutely. So, and thank you for that.
And here I'm going to show this screen because this one's a real crisp image. Let me show them this right quick.
Fantastic.
If you go over to his website, it's really good to see you. This is what the book cover looks like. Stephen Anthony King. It's really good to see you. And he's on the cover. Author, speaker, relationship coach, co-founder of Complete Chocolate Couples. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that for a second too.
Yes.
And this is the actual book image.
Thank you.
And y'all see that?
I don't think it came up.
Okay, here it is. It's right there. Let me pull it up for you.
It is.
This is the actual book cover that you're looking for on Amazon. It's really good to see you. And make sure you all get your copy. They can get it right at It's Really Good to See You, and I'll put that link there. Do they get a signed copy, autographed copy if they go there?
Well, that's a great question, Kim. If they go to my website, which is itsreallygoodtoseeyou.com, then I will personally autograph all the copies.
Okay, that's important to know. So I'm going to put that website up here. It's reallygoodtoseeyou.com. And if you go there, he will sign the copy of the #1 best-selling book right there on Amazon. And if you want to go to Amazon, you can too. You just won't get the signed autograph copy.
Correct.
So tell us about that title. Why that title?
Well, as I mentioned early on, severely nearsighted, first surgery at 7, 3 more by 16, lost my sight shortly after college. Fast forward to 2016, total of 10 eye operations and only sight in one eye. And in 2017, I was faced with 4 more serious surgeries. And with each surgery, what was hanging over my head, Kim, was the threat of complete blindness. During 2017, I was temporarily blind in different stages. So I had this condition called a macular hole. It's, to make it real simple, it's like a pothole in your retina. And it affects your central vision and it wipes it out. But now remember, I had 10 surgeries prior. So my peripheral wasn't the best either.
Right.
So if I lose the central, I'm done.
Interesting.
And I
That
go
would
to
have been that. Yeah, I actually have several blind. We have experts on the Kim Jacobs show, and several of them are blind,
Mhm.
but they're like called our vision experts because they may not have physical sight, but they do have vision. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
interesting. Go ahead.
there's a huge difference. So the doctor tells me, the first doctor who examines me tells me what I have, but then tells me he's not going to operate on me. He literally called my eye a landmine. He said it's too fragile and I don't want the failure on my watch. So I left his office and I immediately went to the worst case scenario, the cane, the metal cane, the seeing eye dog. My wife's going to leave me. I won't be able to provide for my children. I won't have a quality of life with my now 3-year-old granddaughter. And I had to make a decision right there, Kim, right there. And back to the 12-step program. Every meeting that I made, every phone call that I made, every piece of step work that I had done, every prayer that I had prayed, all culminated for this one moment in life. I needed to draw on all of that spiritual maintenance at this time in my life
Right.
because I was at a crossroads. It was either fight or give up.
Fight or give up, and you decided to fight. Clearly,
I decided to fight because the outcome of giving up just wasn't acceptable. The only thing that would have been worse than going blind would have been going blind and saying, what if? What if I would have just gotten a second opinion? What if I would have put in a little more effort? And Kim, there were people depending on me.
Of course.
And I'll tell you, it is total disrespect to give up when you have people who depend on you.
Yeah, I saw that on your Facebook Live. You said you have to know your why and not disrespect people that believe in you, that's here fighting for you, and you're not even fighting for yourself.
It would have haunted me for the rest of my life to say, what if?
Mm.
So I made it a point right then and there that I was going to fight. And if I went blind, it was going to be God's will and not lack of effort on my part. And what I realized is that God will meet you at your level of effort.
Yes.
So from that point, I went to a second doctor who told me the exact same thing. This is what you have, but I'm not going to operate on you. I left there and I went to a third doctor who told me the same thing. This is what you have, but I can get you in touch with the best doctor in the world for the type of surgery that you need.
And he got you in touch with them.
Dr. Stanley Chang.
Yes.
And literally, no exaggeration, the top doctor in the world when it comes to retinal surgery. Over 40 years of practice, chairman of the board for Columbia Ophthalmology. He has created procedures that are widely used today. And that is only through God. God met me at my effort. God saw my effort. And he put me in touch with the top doctor in the world.
And then what happened?
So now that's just the beginning. So we have this first surgery, May 16th, 2017. I'm rolled up to the operating table, not knowing what's going to happen when I come down. And Kim, I have to tell you this part. It's one of the only surgeries in the world that when you leave the operating table, you are not healed. I had to hold my head down like this for 24 hours a day for 2 weeks in order for my retina to heal. They inject a gas bubble in your eye. And if you can envision like a bottle of juice, when you turn it to the side, the bubble goes to the top. The bubble goes to the top to support the retina. So you can imagine the pain. Hold your head down like that for 5 minutes and you'll see what happens. I had to do it for 24 hours a day for 2 weeks.
That puts so much pressure on your
neck,
on your eyes, your shoulders,
everything. So it wasn't just the mental anguish, it was the physical anguish that I was going through.
And
so
just even back in the side pockets, it's so much pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. So a month goes by, things are going well. I'm going to my post-op visits. Things are going well. And then all of a sudden, one Saturday, things are not going well. And I have to be rushed to the hospital. They examine me and they tell me, we need to schedule you for surgery tomorrow. And tomorrow was a Sunday and it was a Father's Day. So that shows you the severity
Oh
of the
my
situation.
gosh.
And my doctor told me after the operation that if I would have waited until Monday, I would have been blind. So I have the second surgery. Things are going well. And I need to say that all throughout this, now I'm praying more than I've ever prayed before. I'm meditating more than I have ever meditated. I am affirming that my eyesight and my vision is 20/20. I am visualizing my 3-year-old granddaughter walking across the stage, getting her college diploma. So
you have something to fight for.
Mindset. I had to be intentional about my thoughts. I couldn't sleep. So, it was one of two things: lay in the bed and let these dark thoughts just take hold of you. And there's definitely a connection between the mind and healing. And I had to make sure that my mind was on the positive side so it can connect with the body to help heal me. So I have this second surgery. Things are going well again. I'm getting back to some sense of normalcy. But again, I got to hold the head down for two weeks, right? Then all of a sudden, a month later, the same thing happens. I go to the doctor and he says, Steven, I'm sorry to say we got to go back in. And at this point, Kim, I'm having real passionate conversations with God right now.
Of course.
I'm still faithful, but I'm like, come on, God. I'm being obedient. I need you to show up. But Les Brown told me, Kim, Les Brown told me himself, you don't know how strong you are until you find out how strong you are. And God was just pushing me to my capacity, because again, I'm huge on pain or purpose being disguised in your pain.
Absolutely.
And the bigger the pain, the greater the purpose.
Wow. You have so much to share. And you know what? You're going to have to come back and we can share even more because it has been a jam-packed hour. We don't went through however old you are. We don't went through all of that in an hour. I don't know how that's even humanly possible. Yes. But we've learned a lot about you today. I do want to make sure that I acknowledge this special queen. Your mommy.
All praise due to my queen.
Because you've spoken about her a lot throughout today's episode, and I know that she's been an integral part of your life. Thank you. Then I also see a picture back here of this beautiful queen as well. Let me see if I can pull that up. I don't want to end today's show. I know you'll come back, but I want to make sure that I acknowledge your. This is your wife, and look.
Yes. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, but I'm from Harlem, Kim. So we say, he who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Okay, so you found a good thing. And so I just want to acknowledge your good thing here on the show. And I'm so happy for you all and honored that you have found a good thing that uplifts you and edifies you and prays for you, I'm sure. So congratulations on your union, because this story definitely has a happy ending and one that's still yet to be told. But let me also show these pictures. These are just some pictures that I was able to see. I hope I'm sure they're not all inclusive of everyone that's important in your life. I'm just putting a few up. I don't know, these two here.
That's my son, the guardian angel, on the left, and that's my youngest daughter. There is one more daughter, Rachel, who I love dearly as well. But those are my children.
Rachel, just know that you are super duper important. I may not have found a picture here, but you are incredibly important as well. And I saw a picture of this in here.
That's my heart. That's Grandpa's heart right there, boy. That's her. Baby.
Your only grandchild. Okay. Now, I will definitely, I'm just going to put all of those pictures, as many as I could find. I was trying hard, like, and then keep in mind, everyone, tomorrow we have What It Takes to Be Project Manager for Compilation Book. So if you are interested in being like a project manager and you want to know how to do that kind of stuff, tune in, because this motivational speaker, best-selling author, and founder of GoPatty LLC will be right here on the Kim Jacobs Show tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, close us out, Stephen Anthony. Tell us one key thing that we can know from you today.
Well, first of all, thank you. It has been an amazing hour. It seems like it went by in 10 minutes. We could talk for another 5 hours, Kim. You are a phenomenal interviewer. First of all, I must say that. You just make the conversation flow so effortlessly, and that is a gift that you have. So I honor you for that. And my message to everyone, and hence the title, it's really good to see you. Now you know when I say it's really good to see you, it means so much more than just a polite greeting.
It's you really, for you to even see the person after everything you've been through. It's really good to see you.
And here's what I'll say. We have all had, and it's really good to see you moment. Mine happens to be with sight. You saw it was with my drug addiction. You saw it was with prison. But we've all had those it's really good to see you moments. That cancer you beat, that heart attack you survived, that car crash you walked away from, COVID-19 that tried to take you out. You are still here, and there is a reason. Turn your pain into purpose. Turn your pain into purpose. You know, I heard somebody say really quick, and I'll wrap it up, that we have survived 100% of our worst days. And when you think about it, it's true. We are here. We are right here kicking it on the Kim Jacobs Show. But there's a huge difference between surviving your worst days and conquering your worst days. And when you conquer your worst days, you turn that pain into purpose. You see, things don't happen to you. They don't just happen for you. They happen for you to help others.
You better believe
that pain and turn it into purpose. T.D. Jakes once said, if God were done with you, you'd be dead. So whether you're 7 or 70, don't drop the mic. And to me, don't drop the mic means continue to spread the message. Continue to share the hope. Continue to grab somebody and help somebody, because you cannot keep it unless you give it away. I'm Stephen Anthony King, and it's really good to see you.
I love that. And I also realize here now too that Tina King is your wife that's on here commenting.
Yes.
She said, oh, thank you, Kim. And I'm like, hey, that's her. That's the queen. So glad. Really good to see you too, Tina. And thank you all for tuning in today. Be sure to share this broadcast with your friends, family, coworkers, everyone you know, everyone you don't. And keep in mind too, if you have not registered for this evening's virtual event with the eWomen Network, I am the managing director in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. We have a guest speaker that's going to be talking about the 10 commandments of $1 Million Divas. It's going to be this evening from 6:30 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the link, if you still want to register, is right there in the comments section. All right, everybody. Thank you, Stephen Anthony King.
Blessings to you, Kim. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Everybody, we'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Kim Jacobs Show. Have a great one. Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Jacobs, host of the Kim Jacobs Show, where we're bringing balance to the world, one household at a time. Listen, we go live every weekday, Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I bring guests on that talk about their backstories, things that they've had to overcome to become who they are today. Many of them are balancing and juggling life, and they've become experts in different fields. So they're sharing tips with you to make your life just a little bit easier. Many times as a guest in the studio audience, you'll get a chance to walk away with a missing piece of the puzzle that might be missing in your life. Let's go on this journey together, and I look forward to seeing you Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Kim Jacobs Show.